Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be looking at cars under 500,000. So these are my top favourite picks in no particular order. It's going to be a good one if you're on a budget. Hopefully you enjoy the video. Now, you have to admit, the Turismo R looks stunning. I love how wide this is and how low it is to the floor. Like, this would probably win a lot of limbos if there was such a thing in GTA. 500,000, just about touching our budget range. And you know, with a lot of these cars that are from GTA, that came out with GTA, you can change the look a lot with just the new wheels that we've got out, as I have in this video. But the detail on this car, you know, the fact that you can open up the back just like you can with the Osiris, and how detailed it is, it's just an amazing looking car. Of course, not the fastest, you know, not the best round track, but it's just a nice looking car. It sounds amazing. That's a thing I nearly forgot. But when you go into Rockstar Editor, you really find out the detail that this car has. Now the Massacre, what a stunning car this is. Like, I've mentioned this in many videos before. This just looks amazing, it sounds amazing, it handles amazing. There is a race car variant, but I do prefer this one because you can, you know, it's a bit more casual. Coming in at 275,000, what a bargain for this car. I remember when this car came out in the High Life DLC, a lot of people were driving this around. But then, you know, after a few years and after you accumulate more and more cars, people just replace cars like these. There's not a lot of cars that match, you know, the looks, the handling, the sound of this car. And really, it's one of my favorite on this list. It's not my favorite, I will tell you my favorite, but it's one of my favorite. Now, my actual favorite on this list, the Jester. The Jester just, it's one of those, it looks beautiful at every angle. And there's a race car variant, and I didn't actually, I already picked this car, and then I got into Rockstar Editor, and then I looked at the detail up close with this car, and it has a lot of detail. It was already picked. The normal version cost 240,000, the race car version cost 350. Both equally as good. You know, if you could afford it, I would buy both versions. It's got such a good stance. Looks good in, you know, every angle like I just said, and it deserves to be in a lot more people's garages. Now the Beta Dukes coming in at 375,000. Now 375,000, you're probably thinking, oh well, you know, I've already seen the Dukes before, but this actually has a lot of modifications, and yeah, it still does look like a Dukes, the same Dukes that was already out in the game. But 378,000 for a car that has that many modifications, also coming in second in the most modifiable cars before the Tunes DLC, I think it's worth it. I think it's really worth it. There's a lot of mods you can do, there's a lot of builds you can do, and yeah, it's worth, you know, 375,000 if you're on a budget. Now the Infernus, yep, the same Infernus that came out with the game, 440k. Really cheap for a supercar, and that's because we all know why that is, because this was before GTA's inflation. But the reason I actually put this on this list is because the fact that it, you know, when's the last time you saw this car, somebody driving it around? You hardly ever see it. You hardly ever see it in meets as well. You know, there is a downfall. It hardly has any I don't even think it has a modification. I think it's spoiler, and then exhaust layout, and that's really it. But it can do the speed glitch very well if you guys want to do that. You know, if you have high speed challenge, it won't make your money back. You'd probably have to do the high speed challenge like, I don't know, 12, 13 times and win it and then get your money back. It's not worth it for that sake. But the fact that this car looks really nice, and you know, it can do stuff like the high speed challenge, it's a supercar, amazing for the price it's set at, 440,000. Now the Taurus, what an amazing car this is, or SUV. Like, it is the fastest SUV. It's arguably one of the best looking, not to me, but it is one of the best looking SUVs, and it's 498,000. It makes no sense why it even fits on this list, being under 500k. So if you've seen Bruffy's video on the fastest SUVs, this is the winner by far, and it just feels like a sports car, or just a heavier sports car, and it will probably embarrass a lot of sports cars as well. The main thing that baffles me about this is the fact that it's priced at 498,000. I keep saying it, but I don't understand why GTA would put it that low. Like, you'd expect this to be about 1.5 million, 3 times more than it actually costs, but it doesn't, and that's why I put it on this list, because it's just surprisingly cheap. Now the Gauntlet Classic, this is one of those which comes in, you know, at trade value, and not trade value. And on trade value it is 461,000. And then if you don't have the trade value, it's 615. I'm going to assume a lot of people have already done the tasks for the trade value. 461k, even 615 is very cheap. Like, this car was the third most modifiable muscle car before, you know, the Tuners DLC. The amount of builds you can do with this, the amount, you know, how much it looks like the actual Challenger in real life. It resembles it so much. And then it gives that same, you know, type of RP feel when you're playing GTA. We can have the fastest car, you know, we can have the best looking car, but when you get a car that, you know, resembles the actual car in real life, it just gives a different feel in GTA. You can cruise around and feel like, you know, you're playing an actual car game. Now, the Ferrari GT, I would say it's a forgotten car, comes in at 448,000. Now, again, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this on the street. I've never even seen it at a car meet. The last time I seen it at a car meet was when I brought it. And you know, the torque that this car has, how much it wheel spins off the line, and if you lower it, you can actually start drifting this thing. It is a bit twitchy, but it can hold the drift for a long time just because of how much torque it has. I would say this was the prior before the prior. Doesn't have the speed, but the prior obviously beats it in nearly every single way. I do think the Ferrari looks better. But yeah, not much to say about this car. It's fast, it can drift well, and it's only 448,000. It adds no modifications at all. But you know, that's something we have to deal with. Now the Kanjo's one of those cars that I was, you know, thinking whether or not to put it on the list, and it cost 435,000 trade price, and if you don't have the trade price, it's 580,000. And the reason I was actually thinking of putting it on the list or not is because everyone I think already has had this car. Like, comment in the comment section if you've never had this car, if you've never owned this car. I don't think anyone has that is a car person. I could be wrong. There's a lot of modifications, and when I say a lot, there's a lot of modifications on this car. This was one of those not revolutionary, I don't know what the word is, like groundbreaking. When it came out, people were like not expecting it to come out, and they were like, whoa, this looks so much like the EK9. And the, you know, the amount of mods you can put on it. It was actually the start of, I wouldn't say the start, I think the Edited Retro was the start of like the actual JDM replicas that GTA do. That's what I'll call it. But you know, the resemblance is uncanny. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Let me know what I missed out, if you guys think I've missed something out here. You know, a car under 500,000 of course, and then comment why you think that should be on the list. So why you think that certain car should be on the list, and I'd like to know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next one.